The Imperial Inquisitorius were trained to do one thing: hunt and kill all remaining Jedi in the galaxy. And while they admittedly stole Darth Vader's job, they still have some very cool members worth looking at. So today I'll be giving you the important facts on every Inquisitor ever in Star Wars, from when the Grand Inquisitor first showed up on screen 10 years ago in Star Wars Rebels, to even some of the newer additions like Marok from Ahsoka, or this unidentified guy that appeared in not only Tales of the Jedi, but also Tales of the Empire too.
It is too late.
First up is of course the Grand Inquisitor, who was of the Pauan species from Utapau and was once a Jedi Temple guard and Jedi Knight, who was one of the guards accompanying Ahsoka Tano and later Barriss Offee during the trial tied to the Jedi Temple bombing. The Grand Inquisitor served directly under Vader and was appointed by Sidious to lead the Inquisitorius due to him growing a hatred towards the Jedi during his time as a Temple guard. He would perish after a duel with Kanan Jarrus, where he claimed,
There are some things far more frightening than death,
before he would fall into an explosion. Later, Vader would tie his spirit to the Jedi outpost on Temps, where Luke Skywalker would one day encounter while in a search for a new lightsaber. Next up is the second sister featured in the game Jedi Fallen Order, who once went by the name Trillis Sudari, as a Jedi Padawan to Seer Jinda until after Order 66, she would be captured along with her master and subjugated to torture until the dark side would corrupt and warp her into the second sister, someone who would be very good at toying with her victims and anticipating their next moves. Moving over to the Kenobi show, we have the third sister, who also went by Reva Savander and helped hunt after Obi-Wan in canon after he was protecting Princess Leia, but as it turns out was once a Jedi youngling who dedicated herself to getting as close to Darth Vader so that she could one day take revenge on him for killing her friends and family at the Jedi Temple. So basically her plan was to kill as many Jedi as possible to avenge the lives of her fellow Jedi. Deborah Chow really cooked up some genius stuff here for Kenobi. The fourth sister was not only briefly shown in Kenobi, but also played a large role in Tales of the Empire, where she formerly went by the name Lynn Rakish and hunted down a human Jedi on a rocky planet where she killed everyone in a village just to get intel, until she was betrayed by Barriss Offee, who she would search for years until one day finding and killing her. Speaking of Tales of the Empire though, next up we have Barriss Offee, who, like I talked about earlier, orchestrated the Jedi Temple bombings and actually had relations to the Grand Inquisitor in that sense, which is kind of weird how so many of these Inquisitors are interconnected. But also, there's another female Inquisitor from Rebels that we'll talk about in a little bit that was heavily speculated in 2016 through 2017 to be Barriss Offee, and I thought for sure it would be her after I saw them having her be an Inquisitor in the new series, but alas, Dave kept his word on this one. That was always a different character all along. In this series, Barriss is offered the choice from her prison cell in Coruscant to join the Empire or die. She of course joins and would pass a few tests before helping the fourth sister hunt a Jedi, but would then change her mind and live as a monk on a snowy planet, helping people with Force-sensitive children to escape from oppression, going under the codename The Healer, until she would die by the hand of her former friend. This next guy isn't technically an Inquisitor, but he did go through the training and got very close to being one. That is of course Dante, who was the final test for Barriss, basically where they had to fight to the death and he was killed here. He was a former Jedi of the Kafex species. Now before we continue down the list of first, second, third, fourth Inquisitors, let's look at some of the more mysterious, unnumbered ones like Marok from Ahsoka, who was clearly present on Fortress Inquisitorius during Tales of the Empire, and also was the longest living Inquisitor by far, surviving to the days of the New Republic and helping Morgan Elsbeth as a mercenary fighting against Ahsoka on multiple different occasions until being cut down by her on the planet Cetos, where his possible species of Night Brother could have been revealed as we see green Night Sister magic pouring out of his wound when he dies. Also is the unidentified Inquisitor from Tales of the Jedi, who hasn't been assigned a number yet, but some have speculated him as the retconned sixth brother as opposed to the real one, which we'll talk about later. However, this hasn't been confirmed yet, and I'll just refer to him as Balloon Boy, as well. He was not only present on Nur along with Marok, he also discovered Ahsoka at a village on an unknown planet where he burned it down and would begin to spar with her before being quickly killed by the Jedi with his head falling to the ground and deflating. Back to the really important ones though is the fifth brother, who was first identified as from the world of Artemisia in the 2023 novel Jedi Battle Scars, and he was a large humanoid male that wore a metallic helmet, was inspired off of unused Sith concept art for The Force Awakens from 2015, and helped the Seventh Sister hunt after the Spectre rebels, including Ezra and Kanan, until meeting his death on Malachor at the hands of the experienced Sith Darth Maul. The real sixth brother served right after the fall of the Republic and accompanied Darth Vader as well as other Inquisitors to the planet Mon Cala to hunt down Farron Bar. At one point during training the Inquisitorius, sixth brother would have his arm severed, as would the fifth brother from earlier, by Darth Vader, and he was killed by Ahsoka on the planet Rada when she pulled the crystals from his hilt, making it unstable and exploding in his face, before she would purify the crystals and use them as her own. The seventh sister was a Mirielin, female Inquisitor, and remember the character I mentioned from earlier that was theorized to be an older Barriss back in the day? Well, this is that person I was talking about, as Barriss is a Mirielin too. She wanted the spot of Grand Inquisitor after his death, but would ultimately die along with the fifth brother after Maul asked Ezra to kill her, which the young Jedi would refuse, leading to Maul slicing her in half when she cried out in fear.
Fear is the path to the dark side.
I can't take it anymore. Master Yogurt needs language lessons.
Next up from Rebels also was the eighth brother, who was a Tyrellian Django jumper who had a helmet similar to the Inquisitor Marok and used his double-bladed spinning lightsaber as a helicopter many times. He met a painful death when up against Maul and the Rebels. Also from Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor is the ninth sister, who was a Dowutin, the same species as the guy in Maz's castle in The Force Awakens, who fought Cal Kestis on multiple occasions before being defeated by him for good on Coruscant in 9 BBY. Jedi Master Prosit Dibs later became the 10th brother, who was a Mira Lucan and therefore had no eyes, wearing a unique blindfold. He tried to kill Mace Windu at one point during the Clone Wars while he was a Jedi. The 13th sister, or Iskat Akaris, was a Red Inquisitor who helped hunt down Eth Koth and his baby before Vader would discover a relationship between her and another Inquisitor, a black Twi'lek man named Talun Yulana, which led to Vader freezing them with the Force and having the two stab each other. Lastly is an unidentified Teal Inquisitor dispatched to the planet Golak, who was hunting down a Force-sensitive child until he was stopped by the Jedi Rugal on the desert world. And that's from Star Wars Visions, in case you couldn't tell. But anyway, that's every Inquisitor in Star Wars. I hope you learned something new today. I hope at least one of these guys you maybe weren't familiar with. And if not, then well, I guess I just updated your knowledge with the new series. But yeah, you can subscribe if you want to. I upload videos every Friday at 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I also post at least 2 shorts every weekend. But yeah, see ya.